As I continue to meet with my fellow breeders and friends, I want to welcome Michael Weinstein, Manny Vierra, and Mindy to talk about their Arabian horses and experiences. So tell us all how the three of you came to, here in 2012, the Vegas show and Arabian horses.
How it started?
How it started.
Well, I was promised a pony when I was a little guy, and my family never delivered. And then in 1980, I was at a horse show with a friend of mine, and I saw the Arabs. And I've been hooked ever since.
Was it an all-breed show?
It was an all-breed show, but when I got to the Arabs, I thought, geez, these horses they're magnificent, they're beautiful, they're carriaged, they're so charismatic. And I thought, this friend of mine had one. So I ended up buying one. Now I have 80. So it's a long story.
That's kind of how it works, isn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of a long story.
But obviously a good story.
Yeah, it's been a good story. It's been a real passion for me.
Yeah.
I truly have a passion for the Arabian horses.
And Manny, when you were at that show, I mean, what was it that made you say, wow? I mean, if it was an all-breed show about the Arabian horse as opposed to the others.
The thing that stuck out for me then was the faces, the smaller heads, the expression in their faces, their eyes, their tail carriage, and the way they moved.
Did they have other classes, or did they have halter?
It was just
or?
in hand, but
Okay.
a lot of them got out of control and they got
Right.
animated.
Right.
And I thought, wow.
It's like art.
It's addictive.
Moving. Yeah, it is.
It's addictive.
It's true. That's very true.
And for you, Michael?
Actually, it started in '72, and we got our first horse, and I'd always heard about Arabians and had never really gotten to know them at all. And we had a farm up at Lake Geneva, living in Chicago area, and one time we passed this farm, it said Arabians for sale. So after a few times, driving up there, my dad finally gave in and went over there, and we bought our first Arabian. It was about 13.
Whose farm was it?
It was Dalda Arabian Acres.
Dalda Arabian.
And they were Polish breeders and had a lot of domestic, the very pretty small Raffles mares. So our first mare was about barely 14 hands, but she was snow white and just absolutely beautiful. So we'd never seen animals like that, because we had at our farm we rented out to a guy who ran a livery stable, so they had all the quarter horse type horses, and fun to ride and enjoy that, but I'd never seen Arabians. But when we saw this little white mare, it's like, wow, this is amazing, so.
And here you are now, and many wonderful horses later. So what kept you involved in Arabian horses over the years?
Well, my family was, very big in the '80s, and then after my father passed away, I still stayed involved, kept a few horses, and really was in 2005 or 2006, I was at Scottsdale and ran into Jeff Sloan, and he was looking at the stallion El Nabila to purchase, and asked me if I wanted to be a partner of the horse. And the reason it was kind of interesting is that we had imported Menace from Russia in '82, and actually he's the grandfather of El Nabila. So here was this horse, we had been out, pretty much out of the business. I had kept a couple horses, but 2 generations away of our program. And so with the people that were getting involved with him, which was Howard Kale and Hennessy Arabians, I thought, well, this might be kind of fun. I really don't want to be, involved in, having to promote a stallion on my own again, because I knew what that was, what that took. And so I thought, well, I can kind of, ride along with this and have a few mares and breed. And so here we are now with really actually ended up owning the horse. So things have changed a lot.
And I know, Mindy, you were born into an Arabian horse breeding family.
I was lucky enough to be born into it. I didn't have to discover them on my own. My grandfather bought his first Arabian mare from Dan Gainey Sr. in 1957 in Owatonna, Minnesota.
I love that Gainey blood.
Oh,
Remember the old Gainey Ranch?
I love the
beautiful,
Gainey
yes.
blood.
So he bought his first Arabian mare from Dan Sr. and had mostly Azraf and Furzan lines. And then as the years went on, bred to Ali Jamal and Bayshaw, and brought in many different bloodlines. And I was the kid who was in school in study hall with my school books up and an Arabian horse world on the inside, studying pedigrees, and just it's been a passion. I mean, I can't even explain how the Arabian horse has affected my life. My kids do horses. My daughter's gotten into all different kinds of breeds. She's done dressage and reining with quarter horses and stuff. And she's finally now started riding Arabians. And she said, Mom, it's the difference between driving a moped and a high-speed motorcycle.
Sure.
It's just, yeah, I mean, it's a totally different feeling. They're so athletic, so intelligent, so quick, so versatile. They're just amazing. And I don't do much riding myself. I'm mostly into the halter thing, but I just love Arabian horses.
You just got a beautiful place up in St. Nose, didn't you, recently?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, no sales pitches on this.
I know.
So I know that the four of us have all owned really wonderful horses that have touched our lives. And for you, Manny, with the lease of El Dorado, tell us when you lease a mare like that and you bring her here, world champion, what expectations did you have or emotions in regards to selecting a stallion for a mare like that? And
Well, I fell in love with El Dorado when I saw her in Paris, and I had just negotiated the lease.
How old was she at the time?
She was 7 years old. And I brought her here, put her in training with Greg and Nancy Galloon, and I knew that the pressure was on to show her, because she had so many credentials when I got my hands on her that I thought I knew I had to win with her. But you try to maximize your odds. You find the right trainer to handle it. And Greg did a great job for me. And breeding was a little different for me because I kind of wanted to go outside of the box on her, because they'd bred her in Poland several times, and they got some nice stuff, but nothing special. I picked 3 stallions. Enzo got a beautiful filly. The Cajo got a beautiful filly. Al Lahab got a beautiful colt. She left me with 3 magnificent foals. I mean, historic.
And I've seen them all. And
historic,
I agree.
and you have
And
seen them.
speaking of El Dorado's Enzo filly, she's now with Lenita Peroy in Brazil.
She's with Lenita
and
Peroy.
I'm trying really hard to buy an unborn foal out of her now by Lugene Al Jamal. So
Well,
that's our world.
that's
We're
gonna
all
be-
connected.
That's going to be a good trick, because
Yeah. I know.
I have 2
I know.
embryos coming
Okay.
from that mare, and I can breed to any of her stallions, but she's reserved Lugene.
Yeah.
So we still haven't done that yet, but it'll be in the makings here real soon.
So when you bred El Dorado, did you let people know what stallions you had selected, or did you keep it a secret till the foals were born?
I didn't really advertise it. Greg obviously knew, because she was there. We bred her while she was at his farm, but I didn't really advertise it until the foals hit the ground. And then when the foals hit the ground, I didn't have to advertise it.
Yeah, of
Once
course.
somebody saw them, it's like, how it spreads like wildfire.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And one was sold to Al Caladea Farms, the colt. Obviously, Lenita Peroy bought the Enzo filly. And then I retained the Cajo filly until just last year, that she was sold to the Middle East as well, to Al Caladea. Yeah.
Did you see the Enzo filly when she was a yearling at Greg's?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw the 3 of them.
She was amazing. I mean, absolutely amazing.
She, they can talk about horses, and there's been some great mares, but I don't know too many of them that are as great as she is, that has produced what she
I
has.
agree.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just being a great show horse. She's produced champions.
I agree.
Yeah.
And,
How are the Poles breeding her now?
I think they bred her to Enzo a couple times. I'm not sure who they bred her to last year, but they've had some really good luck with Enzo over there. So,
Right.
and Enzo's done a good job for them there as
Yeah.
well.
He has.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
And then, Michael, your ownership of Cadrora as a
Right.
yearling.
Right.
Tell us about that
Well,
and that whole.
Whole story.
Again, I just found that out. So
Well, she was her mother, Ejora, who was a Polish mare, but actually bred in Sweden, was sold through the Tom Chauncey sale, and she was in foal to Gabor, and she ended up, the mare and her foal ended up being repossessed, and Lasma ended up with those horses. And so we had gone to Lasma because we wanted to really try to acquire a great group of young mares to breed, and my father and a few of his friends put money together and went there and said we'd like to find some great mares. So there was this bay filly that when she arrived there, they thought she was actually a boss daughter, and then when they found out, Lasma found out she was not a boss daughter, they decided, well, we'll sell her. We don't want any Cabor daughters. So, so we wound up.
God, I love those stories.
I know.
Yeah. But we wound up with her and her mother, Ijora, along with Dancing Heart, who was a Boss Cabina daughter, well, a few others. And as a 3-year-old, we decided to take her to a show, and so we had no one really to show her, and so Gene Reichert offered to show her for us. So we showed her at the time in Ocala, which was at that time a huge show. And her very first show, she became champion mare, and then supreme champion, and she beat Pesniar, who had just come from Russia for millions of dollars in the Supreme Championship. That was her first show. And
wow.
Actually, Michael Bai was supposed to come in to see the mare to show her, and he ended up not coming in. And Raymond said, "Well, I'll take her to the Nationals for you." So actually Raymond LaCroix ended up showing her. And at 3 years old, she was the youngest national champion, mare ever. And a few years down the road from there, we ended up doing a lot of business with Paulo Gucci, and Paulo fell in love with the mare, and so we decided to sell Ashley Cajora to. Unfortunately, later he lost his entire herd, as you know, and Michael Bide ended up in control of that and ended up marketing the mare to the Middle East.
And the rest is history.
Yeah. The rest is history.
That's a big feat, though, for a 3.5-year-old mare.
It was.
I mean, today we have the sections, the futurities, and they didn't have that at that time.
They actually there were 3 mare sections when she showed the national.
I bet
90
how many?
Mares
90.
Something like that.
Wow,
crazy.
that's incredible. That's an incredible.
So she had to show several times to make it to the end.
Right.
And when she was in the championship, she was like at 101 fever. She was running a fever.
Wow.
But she showed. I mean, the show she put on. I wish we had video of that. It was the most spectacular. No one's ever seen a mare show like that. She was showing and using her neck the way she had this amazing long throat latch while she was walking.
Right.
Wow.
And she stood up, and her neck, she started, using her neck, and the throat latch kept going and going and going, and people were screaming.
Do you have video footage of
I think
that?
we might have a little bit somewhere.
I'd love to see that.
It was unbelievable.
Amazing.
And do you still have those lines in your program now?
We have, we were able to get back a sister of Cajora, because we owned Ijora, and at the time, unfortunately, everyone was breeding, they're all pure Polish mares to pure Polish, so we wanted to take her back to that.
I kind of like pure Polish horses.
Well, I'm saying, but you are also mixing the blood now. You're breeding Denso, and you're finding that by mixing the blood, because you had such a limited gene pool, with the Polish horses, there weren't a lot of horses to choose from. You wanted to breed her to a gray, negative bred stallion. There weren't a lot of choices, because we know that Cajora was by Cabor, who was a negative bred stallion. So we chose Bondos because he was the #1 stallion in the world at the time. And we wound up with a very nice filly, and that filly we ended up marketing. But recently, Michael Bide helped us get her back. So we have her, she's 23, and she's the only sister to Cajora. And we have actually 2 daughters of her, an Eden C filly, it's 2, and a Marwan daughter who's 3. So we still have some of that blood, which is
great. Interesting. And Mindy, you've owned some great horses.
I've owned some great ones, still have some great ones. I have a mare, Belsong HVP, who's Brazilian national champion mare, Scottsdale champion mare. She's by Magnum Psyche out of Padrone's Love Song. And Petronella, who's a Bayshaw daughter out of one of the last foal crops of the great stallion Bayshaw, and she's been an amazing producer for me.
How have you bred her?
This year, I actually bred her to Triple Crown champion stallion WN Ultimate Star and got a colt that is unbelievable.
Wow.
Absolutely unbelievable. So gorgeous. Her attitude, the Bayshaw, just full of themselves. He's just, and gray.
Great show horses.
Great show horses.
Yeah.
Now, Mindy, I know 3 years ago you did something, actually 4 years ago you did something a little different. You bred back to El Shaklan, who obviously is deceased.
Yes.
And why did you go back to a stallion like El Shaklan as opposed to one of his grandsons or great-grandsons?
Well, I'll tell you exactly why. I felt like, looking around the globe, El Shaklan was one of the most influential stallions, really worldwide.
Yeah, he was.
And I love some of the things that he's done as far as bodies, length of leg, just overall balanced horse. And El Shaklan daughters are practically impossible to find. And I was also, just in thinking this through, I thought, El Chaclan in his day, before he died, did never bred the contemporary mares of today. So I wanted to breed him to some of my mares and see what we could do. And we have gotten 2 gorgeous fillies. We have 2 mares in foal for this year, and we're breeding 4 back next year. So thank God for all the...
So again with that, there's a lot of pressure on that foal that's going to come out, that people say, oh gosh, she's trying to reinvent. Did you let people know that you had an El Chaclan foal coming? And
I didn't, and somehow they found out. And I've had calls from all over the world, people wanting to see and buy and come, and I've got one filly that's out of my Beishaw daughter that's unbelievable. She's exactly what I imagined in my mind when I did that cross. Mm-hmm. She's got all the length of leg of El Chaclan and the length of neck of the Beishaw daughter, but El Chaclan put the neck up a little higher. He put some real beauty into her face.
El Chaclan throws a lot of
he really does, and tons of motion and attitude from her mother. So that was exactly what I was looking for.
So Manny, what are we going to see when we visit your farm this year? What's happening at Valley Oak?
Okay, well, a lot of people don't know that Eldorado and my stallion Immigrant are out of the same mare.
Okay, you heard it here first.
Okay, you heard it here first. So I've been breeding Immigrant. I've actually outcrossed to some other horses as well, but I've been breeding Immigrant to some of my best mares. A national champion mare that I own, famed VF daughter, Windchime.
Love that mare.
And she just had a drop-dead gorgeous filly. I bred him to 2 imported extern daughters that I have, and I have 2 beautiful fillies from those mares as well. Right now, for so far this year, my foal crop is 6 foals, 5 fillies, 1 colt. And that's just the opposite of the way it went 2 years ago for me.
I was going to say, don't say that too loud, Manny.
21 horses, and I had 17 colts out of 21.
Wow.
So I'm knocking on wood. But this year, you'll see some spectacular foals. My best foal crop ever.
Wonderful.
Great.
And Michael, for El Nobilia B, he's sort of done it all. What's his next move, and what's happening with your breeding program?
I have to say something before you speak. I was just at Omel Arab where he's standing,
right,
and I've seen one of the most gorgeous colts I think I've seen in 15 years. He's absolutely stunning.
What kind of mare?
He's out of an El Lahab daughter.
El Lahab daughter.
Yeah.
Okay.
He actually is so beautiful. He looks like a filly.
Yeah,
he's just stunning.
And he was just born this year?
He's about 3 weeks old.
Oh, wow.
It's a month, maybe.
El Lahab's kind of pretty, isn't he?
Kind of. Just a little.
He's a beautiful horse.
Yeah.
Basically we're trying to put together a great group of El Nabila daughters, and that's really our goal, is to acquire some really top breeding mares. And fortunately we were able to work out a great deal with Siggy. We were actually hoping for a filly, but we got a great colt. But to go to Siggy, and we're able to lease some of her mares and get some embryos, and then breed those mares to El Nabila. And then our hope is to acquire a great group of breeding mares, because you're always looking to go to the best bloodlines, go to mares that are very proven.
I think that's everybody's goal, to end up with the foundation mares to take you into the next generation.
Right.
Well, last year with my foal crop, I had 8 foals, and I sold 4 and kept 4 for my future. And
you did well.
And the nice thing was I had 6 fillies and 2 colts.
Oh, perfect.
So, however, this year it's the opposite. It's my colt year. So,
is it?
And Mindy, for you, and what's going on at El Capitan,
Well, we have 15 babies coming this year. We have 8 on the ground so far, 4 and 4, 4 colts, 4 fillies. And, I just have to say, this is great sitting here with all you guys who I've known for years. And one of the things that I tell people about the Arabian horse is you can almost spin the globe and put your finger down on any continent, and if you can meet someone there that has an Arabian horse, you'll find a friend.
Sure.
Yes, exactly.
Absolutely.
And I've been to David's farm recently, and Manny's farm, and that's one of the great things, is that you go and spend a few hours with friends, and we all love sharing our horses, and you learn a lot.
Met some great people in the industry.
Absolutely.
And a good group of quality people.
Yep.
Yes.
It's been great.
Well, I have had the pleasure of having many conversations the last few days. And as I was talking with Carol Steppe, we had just talked about, again, what brought us to the Arabian horse. And as I said, when I look back on my life, it's not just the horses that have touched my life, it's the people
Absolutely.
that own those horses. And again, never would I have imagined when I was a kid looking at my Arabian horse magazines and all of those, would I travel to Saudi Arabia and Dubai and all over the world and meet the most interesting people and the most incredible horses.
Yes.
The horses have enabled me to travel in countries that I would have never thought of going to.
Absolutely.
Sure. Absolutely.
And it's,
well, again,
it's like a
did
common bond.
The fact that, Saudi Arabia, I mean, who would ever say, hey, let's go to Saudi Arabia?
Right.
But again, you go there and you meet the people of Saudi Arabia and their love for the Arabian horse, and voila.
Friendships are made.
Yeah, exactly.
And
and then you become friends on Facebook, so you can talk all the time. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me.
Thank you for having us.
And telling your stories. And
is this going on CNN?
Yes. And I think Oprah's picked up my series. So
Oprah could use this on her series.
she could. Oprah's got horses, so.
She does.
Well, thank you guys so much.
Thanks,
it was a
David.
pleasure.